Airborne, all the way, every day. I don't know, but I think I might. Jump from an aircraft while in flight. Ain't no open door for my reserve. Reserve don't open door to lose my nerve.
Airborne. 3 weeks of mind and muscle pushed to the limit. If you don't think you can cut it, don't even try.
Okay, welcome everybody to this week's MRE, My Retention Experience. If you've ever been to Airborne Training, you have seen that commercial probably 100 times, guaranteed. So we wanted to share a little bit with that to bring back some great memories for you. This episode, we are going to talk about a recent airborne experience that myself and Sergeant First Class Anais Moise, she is another career counselor, previous show attendee, and she is also our FY24 Secretary of the Army, Career Counselor of the Year. So we both got the opportunity, the wonderful opportunity, to go to Airborne Training this past June. So we got back probably about 2-3 weeks ago. And we're here to share our experience, provide you with some tips and tricks that we did not know before going, answer some questions and answers, and then talk about how you get that opportunity to go if you're trying to re-enlist for it. So without further ado, let's bring on Sergeant Moise. Hi again, how are you?
Good, how are you, Nikki?
I'm good. How are you feeling after that lovely well, actually, you're from Fort Moore.
Yes.
But how are you feeling after being outside in it all day for 3 weeks in the Fort Moore summer?
You know what's crazy? It's actually cooled down since we graduated. I swear. It's been like between 77 and 80s. Like, it's been pretty cool. It's been rainy at night. So ever since we've graduated, like the heat has been, it definitely toned down.
Of course it did. Of course, because that's the only way it would work. It was hot. It was hot. I don't know wow, I've never been to Fort Moore. That was my first time. But I don't think I ever want to go back in June ever again. I think I'm okay. All right. So as you know, because you're a previous show attendee, we always send you a little something so we can hang out together for a little bit. And did you happen to get that one?
I did.
I hope I did you better than last time.
Okay.
Let's see. Your dog is actually interested. Look.
Yeah, she's curious too. I got the knife. Work hard. Yes. Cheese tortellini, baby.
That was one you liked, right?
Love it.
I told you. See, I'm here for you.
Yes.
I told you. Let's see what I got. Beef goulash.
Did you ever eat that while we were at school?
I don't remember, honestly. So what I did with my MREs in school was I noticed that a lot of the younger soldiers, they would go and they'd grab an MRE and then they would stand at the box and they would just keep pulling more out, trying to find a good one. And so me being the lovely person that I am, I would just go grab one off the ground, which of course was always one of the terrible ones. Yeah. So episode 1, spinach fettuccine, I ate that one probably more than once in school.
I was that one that grabbed the creamy fettuccine and I put it back and grabbed another one. I did.
You did it for me. The only thing I cared about with MREs in school was the applesauce. That's like all I wanted in life. I would trade everything in my MRE for applesauce.
I think on the days that we expended the most energy, I definitely looked for like the nutritional bar, like all the things that were going to give me the good calories.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So while we're getting settled, oh, look at that. Look at that. Applesauce. my new favorite. Okay, so while we are getting our MRE settled here, let's talk about in processing. We'll just start from the beginning of airborne training. So I know you stayed there, or you live in Fort Moore, so I'm sure that was not too bad for you. But what do you think about, the in processing from a perspective of somebody that lives on Fort Moore already?
So my SR major, he had advised me to go at 09 because I wasn't sure if I got the hard slot or not. So he said, hey, go in at 09, like just go there and see if you got it. And I told him, I said, no, I'm gonna wait for my lovely fellow career counselor until she gets in. That way, we can in process together. And I'm just glad that you got there when you did. That way, we were able to get in before they took, how they did it in block time. I don't know if they have that posted anywhere or if that's like common knowledge. It would be good to know in advance, like, hey, like between this hour and this hour, you guys should plan on in processing, and this is the time frame it's going to look like. Because we didn't know, we would be there for so long, and we were the last group to in process. But I mean, other than that, it was pretty typical. I think just getting back into like the whole training mindset, it's like hurry up and wait. Like I think that was a hard part personally.
Yeah, no, I get it 100%. So I was somebody that I was on the Fort Moore Airborne website that they gave you everything. I read every single document in there. Now it's been a little bit since we went to school, but you're right. I don't remember seeing like an exact breakdown of in processing. So me not being on Fort Moore, I didn't know that like they had blocks, but it makes so much sense. There's so many people in training that they can't fit everyone in that room. Because I remember when we were waiting outside, the amount of people that came out of that room was like unbelievable. It was insane. But what I suggest to anybody going to airborne training, if you are an E7 and up and you're staying in the hotel, don't do what I did. So I showed up and I was like, I need to go in process right away. And I left all my stuff in my car in the Fort Moore summer in June. And it sat in my car for 4 hours. In processing it's longer than you would think. It's like, I was like, oh, it's a Friday, so I'm going to go sign in, put my name down, and we'll continue this later. That's not the case. Oh, I was, yeah. But again, it all makes sense. So when you in process, you have to do all your documentation. Makes sense. You do some briefings. Makes sense. Then you have to go get your equipment. So you get your ACH and your pads and everything else. Like, it all made sense. I just didn't think about it. So that's something I would give to others in a heartbeat, is be prepared to do a lot more in processing on Friday than you would have expected.
And don't be the last group. I only say that because at the last group, the cadre have lives too. They're trying to go home. Not saying that they're lazy or anything like that, but because how many people got in process that day? Like over
450?
Yeah, 400. So being the last group, like, of course, there's certain things they might miss and stuff like that. So I think like for my platoon or certain people in my platoon, how you went in the classroom and you did the QR code, but we weren't instructed to. So a lot of us didn't do it. So we didn't know, certain things. So I just think if earlier the better, knock it out. And then,
I agree. And you said that like you would never call the cadre lazy. That is one word I will never, ever, ever dare call them. Their hours are unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable. My heart really goes out to their schedules. Yeah. But yeah, I think the sooner the better. Also because when we were the last group, so we showed up 1,500, and the processing stops at 16. So we were the last class to go through. You end up getting merged into everything that's happening at the same time because they're trying to hurry you up. So we didn't get to go in an easy, like, okay, go stand in this line. Okay, now go do this. It was like run around and get all this done because everybody's outside on the rocks or on the cables waiting for you. So not only are you, the instructors want to go home, but the rest of the classmates, they're on the cables.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I totally get it. Okay, so in processing, I don't think there's really any. Oh, okay. Another great tidbit, and it's in ATARs on the special instructions. It's on the welcome letter. It's in the welcome email. It's everywhere. But the amount of people in my platoon that still did not have dog tags, like, it was kind of crazy.
It wasn't, I don't think we had a lot, but I definitely got some done that week. I haven't seen my dog tag since, I don't know when, but I went over to, the supply store and went ahead and got me some that literally maybe the week before.
And that's what, because so me never being to Fort Moore, thank goodness for you being an awesome battle buddy. There are businesses right outside the gate that will get you dog tags made in less than 24 hours. So you have to have the dog tags with your DOD ID on it. Newer soldiers, that shouldn't even be a question, but for some people that have been around for a while, you might have the social still on your ID tags. You're wrong for that, but you might still have it. So if that's the case, make sure to go get a set made over the weekend. Because when you're trying to get that done on Monday or Tuesday or whatever, the days are long. They're long. The last thing you want to do is go hunt down dog tags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that they gave us the weekend to kind of get anything that we didn't need, take care of our ECHs. Just think they issue you a canteen. Don't drink out of it. Go get your own canteen. Just toss it to the side.
The canteens are only $5 off base.
Yeah.
Go get you your own canteen.
Please.
Because you will use it. It's not one of those, this is not one of those courses where you're like, I'll carry it around and I won't use it. No, you're gonna use it.
That was my best friend.
It was. That thing was a lifeline, really. Okay. Let's talk about ground week. I don't want to say I barely remember ground week, but things were going so fast.
We had a 4-day.
We did have a 4-day.
Yeah.
So that's important to tell everybody watching. If you're somebody considering going to airborne training and you're reaching out on social media, what do I expect? What do I expect? I think every course is slightly different. I think it varies. Experience varies by schedule. I think experience varies by cadre. I think it varies by time of year. So we were pushed through really fast because we had a 4-day right smack in the middle of airborne training. So we were hustling. What was your what do you remember most about ground week, or what was your favorite thing?
You
said what? Getting smoked?
What I remember is getting smoked. We got smoked all the time. It was our platoon. Getting smoked all the time, just little things. Like, I knew I came into there with the mentality like, hey, like, you're probably gonna get smoked, stuff like that. But craziness for us getting smoked compared to the other platoons, I was like, okay, what's going on?
I'm not gonna lie. That first week, I would look over at your platoon because I was like, where's she at? And I'd see you, and you guys were like in the half squat all the time. It was always your platoon. I was like, man. And then it came from my platoon, and then
you definitely y'all took the cake. As far as favorite thing, I would say, outside of training, it would be like getting to know other people from other units, other areas, like of different ranks kind of thing. Like, I don't remember the last time I've been around all these privates and stuff like that. Like, it's usually specialists and above or whatever. And then being with other non-commissioned officers, even seniors, like, I feel like as career counselors, we're kind of in our little bubble, and we interact in in the HHC and stuff like that. But being around all these different service members from different communities, like, that was my favorite part of ground week, like just getting to know them. And then, oh man, I feel like ground week was like such a blur, honestly. It's like, hey, learn this. We're doing it tomorrow. We're doing it in 5 minutes, So I think the ground week was like just the introduction. I enjoyed the introduction. Like, did we do the tower? We did the towers that week?
I think we started the 34-foot tower at the end of ground week already. We did.
Okay, well,
We did.
I did enjoy that. I'm an adrenaline junkie, so I would say I did enjoy jumping out the tower.
I loved that. So I think that ground week, I didn't know what to expect at all. So like in processing and when it happens, you're like, makes sense. Okay, that's fair. But we got to ground week and I'm like, I have no idea what to expect. I'm going to tell you the most memorable thing for me was day one. Official day one, when we ran out to go do the chin up assessment and the reach test. I was like, so me personally, and this is just putting it out there, I knew that what I would struggle with would be upper body strength. Like I knew that. I knew I had enough, but I knew that I wasn't the best. I knew that that was not going to be my best thing in this course. Right. But I was like, I got running in the bag. I'm a runner. I run all the time. And I am the person that I know every pace. When I tell you, I was like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Remember.
We sprinted. I swear that was probably at least a 7 minute, at least. I was like, oh no. Oh no.
It was fast.
It was fast. But it was also like, I think it was kind of, I think it was a good opener. It was. Mm-hmm. But so definitely a lot of people have questions about the physical fitness requirements. So you have to be able to do the chin up. And with the chin up, you have to fully extend, like elbows completely extended, and you wait for them. And they make sure everyone's down, and then they wait, a second or two? Maybe.
It seemed like a long time.
Right?
I was scared to let myself down because they're talking to a whole line of us. We all line up, like about 20, 30 of us are all on the bar, and it's different cadre for about 4 or 5 members. And they're all telling us at the same time to get down. So I'm hearing get down, but I'm looking at this cadre in front of me, this instructor in front of me. I'm like, I have to read his lips to tell me to get down because I don't want to get down. And he really wasn't talking to me.
Yep. 100%. So somebody next to me, that happened to them. I mean, I'm not proud of it. It is what it is, but I had to do the alternate event. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. So when I went to the alternate event, I was like, well, what am I in for? If I couldn't do that, like, am I going to be able to do this? So I was nervous. And then the formation started building. And one guy next to me, he was like, I dropped like 1 second too early. They were saying it to someone else and he dropped. So then he had to come do it. So for those out there that, you want to go to Airborne Training and you are curious about the alternate event, it's not bad. You have to have upper body strength. You do. You have to have it there. But if you have to do the alternate event, it is, in my perspective, it was completely doable because it's just, you're on a machine that simulates pulling the risers. And when you pull the risers, I think they said it was like 60% of your body weight. I can't remember the exact percentage, but it's a percentage of your body weight.
Yeah.
And you pull the risers and you have to hold them pretty much at like chest level, and you hold it there for 10 seconds or whatever. It's not bad. But if you can't do that, like, you can't pull your risers. So and then the reach test. Yeah, right. The reach test is exactly what it sounds like. They put you in a mock plane and they see if you can reach and actually connect yourself.
I was fighting for my life, Nicole. I was fighting for my life because I was like, I'm 5'2", so I'm like extending, and I was like, how do I get it? And so I went like this. And once I went like that, then it hooked up. But I didn't think I was going to make it. I didn't.
Yeah. But it's doable. There was another student there, and she was short. She was short, and she made it. So it's doable. I don't know what the exact height is where you're like, nah. But you do the reach assessment. I think those were our only 2 things. Mm-hmm. I think that was it. And then we went back. We ran back to the company, and then we immediately, I think we had breakfast and we went right into training. Yeah. It's like we were zipping. Yeah. And then that was the part about how fast ground week went. We went so fast. We were jumping out of the 34-foot tower by Thursday or Friday, and it was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Huh? But the tower's fun. The tower is a lot of fun.
I did have a lot of fun. It was just hot. Super hot. Thank you, Cat 5. I think going in June was a blessing and a curse because of PCAT 5.
Heat Cat 5 is something else. So that's where I learned, that's where the airborne shuffle came into play, at least in my mind, is the Heat Cat 5 walk is so fast that you have to shuffle to keep up.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's no shuffle anywhere else. There's no shuffle. It's a dead sprint, or it's a very fast run everywhere else.
Yeah.
You're shuffling when you're doing the Heat Cat 5 walk because we got places to be.
Did we do the 2 mile, or not the 2 mile? Did we do the run that week or the next week?
I think we ended up doing it in Tower Week, the Commander's Run. Yeah, so we'll talk about that once we get to Tower Week, but I'm pretty sure it was Tower Week. So the 34-foot tower, goodness, 34-foot tower, that's where you're really going to see how bad heights mess with you, in my opinion, because it's simulated, like you're jumping out of 5th story, because I counted and I was like, okay, that's 5 stories up. You're jumping out 5 stories. I think the best technique that worked for me, and I don't know if it worked for others, but the best technique and the best advice I could give is I never looked at the ground. I never looked, because then it made this door, it was like I had the same view outside the door no matter what, between ground week, tower week, or jumping out of the plane. The door was the same. It was like this door to the unknown. I never looked at the ground. It never freaks me out. It was like, I don't know what's out there. Okay. So I don't know if you ended up looking.
I would always look at the instructor on the floor, the instructor on the ground grading us. Somehow, whoever was grading us, I just always came out. I know I was always looking at them. I'm sure the first time I had closed my eyes, but then after that, I would just end up looking at my instructor.
Yep. I never looked at them. I would yell. I'd yell my roster number.
Oh yeah.
But if I was not looking for acknowledgement. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I was not looking. I yelled it and I went. And I never looked at them because I didn't want to see the ground. I didn't want to know. And it worked. It worked all the way through. The tip or best advice for the tower, which I did not know this until I was done with all 5 jumps out of the tower that day, if you're a shorter person, no matter how hard you tuck your chin, number one, tuck your chin, but no matter how hard you tuck your chin, those risers are going to get your neck on the tower. There's just like,
put the collar up.
I told you that after they told me, and I was so ate up on my neck. I was good. I think maybe before my collar was good, but whenever we talked, like my collar was good all around. Take that collar, put it up over your neck like this, so that way those risers are not on your skin, because it was not fun walking around Fort Moore that weekend looking the way I looked.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of judging eyes, and I promise it was airborne training. So the collar trick, I think it worked. All right, let's see. Let's go into Tower Week.
Ooh, I'll let you start.
So Tower Week, we had our Commander's Run. And the Commander's Run is a run that if you do not pass, that is, you could get excused from the course or recycled or dropped. The Commander's Run is a 9-minute pace, give or take 15 seconds. And the Commander honestly stayed on pace. It was genuinely on pace. And I thought it was a fantastic run. It was
great.
Gorgeous. We ran through the training area, and it was still hot, but we did it early in the morning, so it wasn't terrible. And like, you get that break from running in full OCPs with your Kevlar and your boots. PTs had never felt so good in my life.
Probably why I thought I was running so fast. Running in boots. I feel like those sprints help me with that run.
I think so. And that's why, like, as you know, I'm not going to lie, as frustrated as I was and as much as I got in my head during all those sprints, I'm like, why are we sprinting like this? I think it really sets people up for success when you get to that Commander's Run, because you're begging for the Commander's Run.
Yeah. Cadence was going off. Motivation was there. Like, I love that the cadre were singing cadence. Like, it was, I did enjoy that run. It was a good little motivational pep, I guess.
I don't know about this one.
What is that? The
beef goulash, and I didn't heat it up all the way. It's fine.
I'm still going on these trail mix.
It's fine. So the commander's run was that week, and then we did more of the tower, which was cool because we were already associated with the tower.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing so the most memorable experience for me was we were the last group. So that's when you have to do, you jump out of the 34-foot tower again, but you have to do, I think it was 4 jumps out of each side to simulate each side of the aircraft. And then it was 4 jumps simulating having to like pull your reserve.
Combat
and then 4 of them were Hollywood and 4 were combat.
Yeah.
And then, so Hollywood was fine. Hollywood is just your parachute and that's it. And your reserve. Combat.
Ooh, that's a lot.
We were the last group to go. So you're in a group of 4 people because you're also jumping with all 4, one after the other really quickly instead of just one at a time. So when we were the last group of 4 for the day to go, they were rushing us. They would tell us, they're like, you got the fast pass. You have the fast pass today. So we would get geared up. We'd run up to the top of the tower. There's no line. You're not waiting. So you run all the way up. You jump, you get down, you reset, you go again, and you run. And we did all of our combat jumps, just fast pass. I was dying. I was dead. I think that, so for me, the tip for me, because I'm not short, but I was short with the rucks that I kept getting. I kept getting the rucks that like I would tighten it all the way and they were still sitting on my feet. So to go up the flight of stairs, I couldn't get my foot in between the rucksack and the stair to be able to make a step. And then it's like on your kneecaps. So it's like, so what I ended up doing was I ended up shimmying one of my legs to like loosen the leg strap. And then I took that thing and I took it over the rucksack, over the front, and I just like monster mashed my way up the stairs. It was like a one-legged effort to get up these stairs. And that was the only way I could do it. Because I couldn't fit. You did what?
I turned around. I walked backwards.
I couldn't get away with that.
I know. Some of them, they were like, no, turn around. But I'm 5'2". I'm 5'2". Yeah. I'm as tall as my equipment. Like, as short as my equipment. So it was really bad for me to go out. I do like that they kept us in like a team. You know, like you're not switching it up every time you're doing it. So I think you keep going with the same team, you keep building more confidence. Like they paired up a lot of the officers with the junior soldiers. For me, I had my NCOs like to the left and right of me in my formation or in my chalk, like in my platoon. So it was good. Like it was like we built that trust with each other. And just build the confidence. And I like that for the officers to be paired with the junior enlisted, it's like, I like the officers getting a little bit of taste of like, hey, these are how privates are. So you got to learn to communicate real effectively with them.
Real effectively and really specifically. If you want something done, really be specific. But yeah, I really appreciated every single officer that I saw. They were so happy to be there and they were so happy to be around soldiers. Like I didn't hear a bad word. Everybody was just so happy and they felt included and it was really fun. I agree 1,000,000%. Like if anybody from the Airborne School ever watches this live stream, keep it where the teams stay together because they ended up being my biggest rock. When it came to getting out of the airplane, I was terrified. I don't know who wouldn't be, but like I think what got me through the most is I couldn't let them down. The person to my left and right, they stayed the person to my left and right the whole time. And they were like, they held me together whenever it mattered most.
For sure. We have a chat. Like those are like my battles for life.
Yeah. You ever want to see beef goulash when it's not heated up? There it is.
Mm.
But you know what? It's not bad. I think I've adjusted.
Can't go wrong with the tortellini.
It's pretty good. Have you tried yours yet?
Yeah, I took a bite.
A bite.
No, I'm
can't put it down. Let's see. You got your favorite one.
Yeah, it's not There's a difference when you're force feeded.
You're not wrong. So we started this series, and it's a really special series to me. It's this is a very special show to me because I do find that when you sit down and you have a meal with somebody, it doesn't matter who's who. It doesn't matter. You just take the time to talk to somebody and get to know them. Like you were saying earlier, learning from all these different people that we don't usually get to be around. It was special. And when it came down to mealtime, that was like, it was exactly that in airborne school. And you're sitting down eating. Granted, jump week we didn't have time. Like you were eating and you were running. But when there was time, this is it. But MREs hit different when you're starving.
Sure do. I'm eating everything because I don't know what I'm going to eat again.
I wish I did that. Okay. I think Tower Week is just that though. There's just
you didn't go over the most important part.
That did happen. Oh wow. Yes, let's talk about it. Are we talking about the torture device, the swing landing trainer?
Ooh, my back hurt when you said it. My back hurt when you said it. I got head trauma.
So this course is a culminating event. So it takes you step by step by step. They start you at the beginning. They teach you how do you put your equipment on, and then they teach you how do you exit out of this aircraft. What are your steps? They do that. What is it? Crawl, walk, run. Well, when you get to the end of Tower Week, you have a couple things that you have to do that are not fun. And so you learn your PLFs in Tower Week. And that part is, I'm 34. So PLFs, my body kind of hurt after that. I was surprised how we weren't that high up off the ground for them, but you're doing it over and over and over and over. So you learn your PLFs. And then the next step, once you have that down, is we had the swing. I can't remember what it was called, but like you swang, you held on to this apparatus and you swung down, and then they would tell you, the black hat would tell you when to drop. So you heard the cue, and then you would drop and you would do the PLF in the direction that you're supposed to be doing. You did that all day long. And then you had a bunny hop. We bunny hopped all day. And then, so that part's okay. You're gonna start to figure out if you don't have your PLF right at that point. Like you better do some damage control and fix yourself, because the next thing is the swing landing trainer, and that one you don't. There's no cue. There's no cue. And so you go up onto this ramp. I don't know, 8 feet in the air, 5 to 8 feet. I don't know, but you're harnessed up. You get up there. And you have to extend literally like this, extend out and stare off the platform, and you're staring at the ground, and two people are holding you. They're holding you in place on your back, and you're just holding me. And then they do count down on that. They count down so you know when you're going to get let go. That's fine. They let you go, and you come swinging off this platform, and it's not comfortable. Like you come swinging down. And then you have to hurry up and pull your risers in the direction that you know you're going to have to do. And once you get set up and you have your risers and you're pulling them and you're ready to do it, they just let you go. And you don't know when it's going to happen. And man, like it hurts because there's so much force in that swing that had already happened that when you hit the ground, it's not like, it's just, and it's over and over and over and over
and over
and over.
No.
And over. So you have to hit a you have to get a passing PLF in each direction. I think it's 2 times each because it's a total of 12.
Yeah.
So if you get each one first time go, you're only doing this 12 times, only 12. Yeah. And then you can go up to 20 altogether, but you can only fail one PLF so many times.
Okay.
So I ended up doing 18.
I did 20.
I did 18. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to have enough arm strength to pull for 12. I had to do 18. It was everything I had.
I did all 20. Yeah. It was, I feel like, okay, vulnerable moment, right? We're being transparent here.
Yeah.
My right and left PLF, like I couldn't get it to like fully, it just wasn't clicking you have to actually pull up your body weight. But I think because I'm trying to do 20 things at a time, by the time I got my body in the right position, my arms are already tired. So my cadre, if I started doing this, he's like, you need to pull your body, like you need to be up here. And once he saw we were here, he would stop us. He would stop us and let us down. So he did that for the right PLF. And he let me down. He didn't let me drop, he just let me down. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, I'm trying to like not to cry. And I'm like just so frustrated. So I'm just like, he's like, you're in your head, calm down, like, he's not trying to like talk down on me or make it any more frustrating. He's just like telling me like, you know what you're doing, trust yourself, you're just in your head. So I was like, okay. So I went up there, I did he was like at the end of it, right? So I did everything. We had a break for lunch, so I gave my body a little rest. But at the end of it, he's like, it looks like the rear PLF's your best PLF. He's like, I don't know how you made it, but you cleared all of it. I was like, don't care. Thank you.
Made it. That's why I'm going to say that the Black Hats, they did a really good job that day of like paying attention to not just technique, but paying attention to the personality and the person doing it. And they were very receptive to kind of changing things up if they had to, and if it was in the realm of possibility. Yeah. So mine, I was stuck on, I think it was like my rear right. I think it was, and I couldn't get it. And I was starting to get in my head, and I was starting to be like, I don't know if I'm going to make this. And so the Black Hat, he was like, he told me, he's like, these are what you have to retest on here. He ran it down. He was like, do you want to keep doing the one you're doing now, or do you want to shake things up and kind of get out of that hole and then come back to it? And that's what saved me. Yeah. I was like, let's shake it up, because of what I'm doing right now, it's not working. Yeah. So I need to get out of my head, because I'm in my head right now. Give me something else. That way I can knock those down and I have less that I have to retest on. And it worked. It was like, so if you get in that position on the swing landing trainer, ask, because they were really receptive. Like he was like, let's shake it up, because this is what you got to get done. And I want you to get these done. Yeah. Yeah. But I never ever want to do the swing landing trainer again in my life.
No, absolutely not. I thought I was going to need a head trauma. Like I had a really bad headache after that. And I was like, I don't even want to do that again. Nicole, excuse me for 2 seconds. My dog is hungry as well. So I'm just going to feed her real quick.
Okay. You're going to give her some of your MRE. Are you cheating?
I've been giving her crackers, and I think it's getting her even more upset.
You're giving her All right. So with that, go feed your dog. I will continue on with the fact that I think that as bad as the swing landing trainer was, I'm going to mute you real fast. If I can get there. Oh, I can't do it. Okay. Well. There we go. Okay. When I see her come back on screen, I'll bring her back. But if you get in the position where, the swing landing trainer is putting you in your head and you're kind of nervous and you're getting to that point, just know that if you can make it through that, the jumps are nothing. And that's what I got told. I reached out to some friends. I reached out to one of my battles, Master Sergeant Trotter, just before the swing landing trainer. And I was like, help me, because I'm in my head and I don't know if I can do this, because I've heard nothing but horror stories. And he talked me off the ledge that night, and he was like, you're fine. If you can get through that, your jumps are nothing. Like it sets you up for success. It's hard at first for an easy part later. And it truly was. None of my jumps, none of my landings were like that. Mm-mm. So I again, it's like, I get it.
Yeah. I had a friend tell me the same thing.
Let's move into the fun part, because I think that was it, right, for Tower? Do you have any other tips or tricks or something for Tower Week?
No, because after that we did the emergency landings. Is that what we did?
Mm-hmm. Emergency procedures.
I was a little shocked by some of them. I was like, we land in the tree. Like if we land in the water,
We land in power lines.
Running off of someone's parachute, getting caught in someone's parachute. No, we didn't. Look at the.
Let me see. Hold on.
Sorry, I know I jumped ahead.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
That really caught my eye.
Is there a comment?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Did you do the 250-foot tower? No, we did not. We didn't because, unfortunately, it takes so many cadre members to run it, and then it takes such a large detail of students to run it. At least that's how it's explained to me. And right now, the schoolhouse, they are so short on instructors. They are like, it's unbelievable how short they are. So my black hat in particular on jump week, he was with us. He's the one that ran us out to the pack shed, and that was at 5 a.m. So he had to probably be there at 4:30.
3. Some of them 3.
Yeah, so he had to be there early. He ran us out, and then we had detail that night. So we had detail until I think close to midnight, and he was with us through the detail. And then he was back again the next morning at 5 a.m. And it was like, what?
Yeah.
So they didn't have the manning to do the 250-foot tower, but they did drop the dummy off it.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, they did it the day before we jumped.
I think that was it though. I just somebody like is running off your parachute, what do you do? What if somebody goes through it? My command sergeant major had actually told me a horror story of, running into somebody. How do you get away? Like, yeah, that's when it was like, oh, this is real.
Yeah. And I was like, none of this is ever going to happen to anybody. There's no way this happens. This has got to be like emergency, like, okay, in the event it ever happens, but it never does. It happens. We'll talk about that in jump week, which we're getting into right now. Great segue. All right, jump week. You have accomplished all of the things that you thought were hard. Everything's done. All you have to do is run to the pack shed and jump every day. Like that is your culminating event, is jumping out of an airplane. I saw a comment, a perfectly good airplane. Yeah. I was nervous because we were sprinting everywhere. You know this. I was in my head.
Yeah.
I was so in my head about the run to the pack shed because I drove it just to see how far it was. And it was like, I don't know, a mile, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, if we sprint for the whole mile, like, am I going to make this? I was so nervous. I lost sleep. I'm like, am I going to make it? I didn't make it this far to not make this. And it was so tolerable. The run there's no problem with the run. It's a nice run down to the pack shed. It's not bad. It's early, so it's a little bit cooler out. And yeah, you have to do a little bit of training every day before you jump, which makes sense. You go through some training. What really got me was grabbing the parachute and the reserve and running back to the pack shed. I was not ready for that.
Did you let it down?
I watched a video. So you have to carry the parachute for anybody that wants to go. You have to carry the parachute on your shoulder and it has to stay there. And then you have the reserve, and you obviously don't want to pull your reserve. So you don't want to do anything crazy with it all over the place. So you're supposed to have it down here with your ripcord handle out. And you're supposed to run like this. And you look at the distance and you're like, that's not that bad. It's like, I don't know, 50 feet.
Yeah.
Maybe a little farther. And you're supposed to run. I got out I had just stepped outside the shed and I was like, I'm dying. I'm not gonna make it. That weight, it doesn't distribute right. It's like I have 2 kids that are 40 pounds each and I carry them all the time one-handed, like, come on, let's go. No.
Never gonna wait.
No. And I watched a video before I went to Airborne Training, and it's not a knock on the video. It's not. I just want to say that it did not work for me. And I had banked every dollar I had on this video. Like, I know what to do. I know the right technique. And the technique was to take the parachute, put it on your shoulder, get your hands through the straps, and then get your hand around, and then take the reserve, put it over your wrist where the ripcord handle's still out, and then connect your hands at the top. So that way you could tighten the weight and run. And then you're supporting yourself. So it's not 40 pounds right here and 11 pounds over here. I don't know who in this universe has arms long enough to do this, because it's not possible. I couldn't do it.
I did pretty well. And, you know, I felt bad for everyone who was like dropping and all that stuff. Cause
like me. It's cool.
I mean, how many times did you drop it?
A lot.
Oh,
but I did not give up.
But I realized like I have a stronger arm. This is my stronger arm and this is not my stronger arm. So I put the heavier weight in, you know, in this arm and the other one. And I was able to do it. And in my head, you know, the cadre, they're over there, you know, they're talking a little smack. They're like, you know, doing what they do. I use that as motivation. I was like, you know, they'll be like, you need help. And I'm like, your help. And they're just trying to be funny, but I use them, you know, as motivation. Like, you know, I'm just trying to get over to the other side kind of thing. I just don't think the heat helped.
The heat was awful. It was
brutal.
Like, that second day. The second day was 100 degrees.
Yeah. I'm so early in the morning.
I think for me, it was all heart. It was all heart. I was like, I made it this far. I'm not, this isn't what's going to take me out. Because it was hard for me. It was really hard for me. But I was, you know, no matter how many times I had to put it down and reset and put it back up, it was like, I'm doing this. I'm making it. And then again, back to please keep the teams together, because my peoples to the left and right of me, they were the ones, they were like, you got this. You got this. You can do this. And it was like, you know what? You're right. You're right. Like I needed them. And then when we had it, because we had to get two parachutes that day and one reserve. So when we had to immediately turn around and go back out there and do it again, after I wasn't expecting this to happen, I was in my head and I was like, I don't know. And they're the ones that got me through it. They're the ones that were like, you can do this. So that one, I don't have any tips or tricks. This didn't work for me. Maybe it'll work for you. But it's hard.
Start doing some upper body.
Yeah.
In general, like run. Everyone's like, oh, well, I heard they run a lot. Yeah, sure they do. But I think for the overall 3 weeks, like you really have to make sure that you can pull your own body weight and start, you know, lifting, like do a lot of upper body, I would say.
I agree. I agree with that. More shoulders. I wish I had done more shoulders before I went there. That would have helped a lot, especially with when you get put in your equipment for the jump. So when you put your parachute on, your parachute on and you have your reserve on, and then combat load days, that weight's on your shoulders. I wish if I could have done this over, I would have done more shoulders before I went to school. So getting into the jumps, you sit in the pack shed for hours and hours and hours and hours. You have to find a balance between hydrating and then not hydrating too much, because you can't use the restroom while you're set up. And so that was a challenge, but it was so hot out there that I was still sucking down water and I was just fine. And then they do have a restroom when you jump. So when you get, you know, you go and you do your reporting in, like I made it, I'm alive, there's a restroom. It's hard to use at night though, for the night jumps.
What about really the women? I don't know.
So I mean that one it's hard to give tips or tricks for jump week, because that is just
mental.
It's mental. That's where your how bad do you want it comes in. And that's like where my mystery door, never looking at the ground and having the same picture no matter what, that helped me, because I'm jumping out to the unknown, and but I will say that what they teach you with the technique, it helps, because that's all you're worried about, at least for me. What did you think? So like when I did my first jump, I was more concerned about exiting the right way. I was more concerned about clearing it and getting far enough out. I was more concerned about staying tight and elbows in and hamburger and looking at my feet. And I cared about that, and that helped.
I'm not gonna lie, when the first jump, right, I was so in awe of everything. I was like just so amazed, and you know, they're at the bottom and they're like watching us, you know, out in the field, and then I'm like in dreamland and they're like feet and knees, and I'm like, oh, my feet, you know, they're like feet and knees. I was like, oh, you're right. Like, let me get ready to actually land.
Yep.
How are your landings?
We could talk about this all day, can't we? Okay, so real fast, we have enough time to talk about retention stuff. Tell me, what was your most memorable jump?
Shoot. I guess it would have to be the one that hurt.
That's memorable.
It was the second jump because it hurt the most. Out of how many times I jumped? Five jumps, right? So the second one hurt because can't really remember what I did, but it definitely like it just I landed right on my fourth point of contact. Fourth point, third point,
yeah,
whatever. I landed right there, right on it. No feet, no knees, straight rear. And I was like limping with all my stuff back. And at that point, I'm like, am I gonna make it? Like, am I gonna make it? But definitely learned because my next 3 jumps were great after that. Like, it takes one bad jump. Like for me, I definitely self-corrected right after that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's memorable.
Mm-hmm.
Pain is a good teacher, I suppose. For me, I would say the first one. One. Because I was so scared. I was so scared. And it's just real. But I was on the airplane and I was sitting there and in my head I was like, this is what I've wanted for almost 15 years. This is what I have been asking for over a decade. I've wanted to be here in this moment. And I was in my head through all these different things. And then now here I am, like, this is it. So it was like a mixture. It was like a mixture of being terrified and a mixture of gratitude and adrenaline. It was like all compiled in one. And so I was just sitting there and I was like thinking about all of this. And one of the guys in our chalk, one of the captains, he was hilarious. He like looked over and he was like, what is wrong with you? It's like, why are you being so serious? Like, this is going to be fun. And and so then everybody was looking at me. And I was like, I got this. Like, I'm okay. And then we stood up and we started doing everything 10 minutes out. And I was just like, I'm doing this. Like, I was like, what if I can't? What if I can't? And I'll never forget, like, I started walking up to the door and it was just like, here we go. And when I jumped out, I like lost my breath because like I did my counting, I counted. And then it was like, I'll never forget. I was like, oh my God, I made it. Yeah. I made it. And then I got stuck in a thermal. So then I just watched everybody plummet below me. I love it. And then I was just like,
in a thermal.
I made it. I made it. And then I eventually slipped out of it. But like, I'll never forget the feeling of like, I wanted this for so long. And then here I am, just in the sky. Yeah. So I can't forget it. I think it shows that it's worth it.
It's worth it.
It's worth it. 1,000 times over. Okay. Let's hurry up and get through so we can give people time to ask questions really fast. We're going to get a little technical for a second because we've been talking for almost an hour about our experience, which I hope helps and I hope it's awesome. But we got to talk about other people. What if you want to re-enlist? How do you re-enlist for airborne training? Is it possible? So yes, you can. Yes, you can re-enlist for airborne training. But right off the rip, just to help people understand, there are some MOSs that don't have airborne authorizations. And with those if there's no authorizations in your MOS, you can't perform airborne operations. So you can't justify going to the school. So here's a list of, if you're in one of these MOSs, I'm really sorry, but it's not in your path. And there's also another step, but we'll leave this one up for like a couple seconds for people to see. And so if you come into the office and a career counselor says, I'm sorry, you are not eligible for airborne training, it is not, it's because of this. This is straight from one of our policy messages. So, and it's a lengthy list. But if you go into your career counselor's office, that's typically going to be the first thing they look at. Is your MOS authorized for airborne training? So if you are an MOS that's authorized for airborne training, what would you do next? Sorry, Moise. Because you're on more, so do you have people try to re-enlist for it? Is that common?
I have. That was the thing, like, real quick, recently they've made it to where permanent party can't go as a walk-on, just because number one, shortage of cadre, and number two, you don't have a follow-on assignment. So a lot of them are just doing it to have it. And that takes a lot of resource, it takes a lot of time from the actual airborne school. So, but my unit specifically, I would say some of my 11 Bravos, they're wanting to actually do it to where they can go to an airborne unit, but not. If they say like, oh, I want to go to Italy or I want to go to Florida, I said, oh, you want to go airborne? I mean, I can't guarantee that, but are you at least airborne qualified? Is one of the things I do say. But no, I don't get a lot of airborne training. Just every now and then.
Okay. But I mean, people go in and they ask for it. So I was previously at Fort Drum and people would come in and ask for airborne training. So the first thing is, are you authorized to go? The next thing is we send up a request, and then we have to provide your airborne physical. It's been a couple years since I've done one, but it was an airborne physical. Make sure you meet the qualifications. And then so when you pick airborne training, that's the reenlistment option, is the training option. So soldiers frequently become disgruntled or upset because they don't understand why they can't get an airborne assignment and station of choice. Yeah, because they really want to get both. And as counselors, we want to give you we want to give you everything. We do. We want you to be successful and go where you want to go, but we can't do that. Right. We can give you airborne training, and then your assignment is going to be a follow-on assignment that will be an airborne position. We just don't know where right away. Now, if there are some branch managers that are willing to have that conversation too. So that's always an avenue, especially for airborne training, is to talk to your branch manager and say, I want to go airborne. This is what I'm looking for. And there can be some collaboration between the branch and the career counselor. There's not a lot of things we can do that with. Normally it's like, go to your career counselor when you're in your window, because we see the same assignments. Like, you can't go to both in that circumstance just for an assignment. But for airborne, there's collaboration there, and there's an opportunity to have that conversation. I will say up front that if you don't have an airborne physical done, don't have the conversation. It's just you can't be like, I want this, but I don't know if I'm qualified. You got to do the physical, and the physicals, depending on where you're at, they take time.
I'll say here, because of TRADOC, where I'm at, they also have, students, specifically, lieutenants that are commissioning. They do get presidents for, the airborne physical. So it took me about maybe 2.5 months to get an appointment. And then it took me an additional 6 months because there were just like certain things that they wanted to do further examination on that I was just like, what? So it took me a little minute to actually get my airborne physical completed.
Yep. And that answers a question we have from the audience too. We had a question, are there waivers? So, there are waivers. There are, but they extend the timeline of your airborne physical. And I can't specifically say what can get a waiver and what cannot, because that's in a medical realm that I don't know. But there are waivers for certain things. But you have to be prepared for the timeline to adjust on that, because your stuff's put in another queue. Yeah, it's on another provider's queue, and you're at the mercy of when they get back to you. What was the other thing I was gonna? So airborne physical, we talked about yours. You can try to re-enlist for it, talk to your career counselor, you can talk to your branch, enlist a manning cycle. So if you're in your enlisted manning cycle and it pops up as an opportunity and you're not airborne qualified, but you see an airborne assignment, you can preference it, and then you can write a note to your branch manager and say, I'm not qualified right now, but here's my physical and I want to go. Again, that's why you should have your physical done in the first place, because it's like, put me in, coach, here you go. Yeah. So what I've done, because I've tried to go airborne for so many years, is I got a physical done every year.
Wow.
Every year. I'm like, put me in, here it is. Put me in, here it is. And, so that way when you do get your yes, it's like, let's go.
I didn't even know that, honestly, until I got here and I had talked to my battalion CSM. I said, hey, I want to go airborne. He's like, you got your physical? I said, physical? What?
Yeah,
So,
huh? And then you go in and I don't know about every location, but, a lot of times I've done it. It's almost like it surprises you because you go in the first day and you're like, I want to do an airborne physical. They're like, cool. You can walk into the optometry. You can walk into labs. You can walk into hearing. So you walk in and you're like, I'm knocking this stuff out. And you're like, I got all my stuff done by 11. Like, this is going to be so quick. And you go back in and you're like, here's all my stuff. And they're like, okay, we're going to schedule you for your phase 2. And your appointment is 3 months out. Like,
yeah.
What? What?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Do you have any other advice or any other, anything else you want to say about re-enlisting a soldier for airborne?
No. I'm trying to think. I think the ones I had done, they already had their physical done. So it's pretty easy. They wanted to go to Liberty. So I put in my notes, like, would love to go to Liberty. They went ahead, they got what they wanted. Liberty's probably more than likely what they're going to get. Or some of them, honestly, like my 11 Bravos, in order for them to go to Liberty, they needed, it was only airborne slots.
Yep.
So that's one of the things. I think if there's certain places you do want to go and you work it out with your branch manager, or, at least have it that way if it's available. Like if you want to go to Italy and you already have, the airborne, you're already airborne well, that's another subject, but yeah, I would just say if that's something you do want to do, then have the physical right.
Yeah, that's the biggest piece of advice. 100% is just have that done. And then when it's about to expire and you haven't got your chance yet, do another one. And just keep going and your time will come. Okay, so we just hit an hour, but I want to open up, at least 10 minutes to any questions that we have. And I'm not sure if we've got any out there. Let's see what we got. I'm not seeing much because we answered the towers. I do see that thing is the whole reason your body hurts. Yes. Swing landing. Okay. How many of the soldiers needed to meet that SRR after graduation? Yeah, so that's, yeah. And I know it's a funny one, but it's also a great thing to bring up. So if you re-enlist for anything, if you re-enlist for an assignment, for training, whatever, you're going to have a service remaining requirement that you have to fulfill. And that is, if you re-enlist and you do 3 years for airborne training, let's just say that, and then you get in a follow-on assignment and the report date's so far out or whatever happens, and you have to meet more time for your follow-on, you get an overseas location, whatever. If you fail, like, we're going to hit you up as counselors. We're going to say, hey, you have an SRR you have to meet. This is why. This is when you report to this assignment. You need this much time, whatever. And you don't come back and you try to escape, get away with it.
Yeah.
That's a gamble. It's always a gamble. But us as career counselors, we're going to do our best to make sure that soldier meets that service remaining requirement. So it makes the job a lot easier when you come back and you visit us. And also we want to hear about how your training went.
Yeah, I think of the majority of the trainees or everyone that was in there was from AIT and stuff. So
yeah, it was like 90%.
There's a lot of them.
Yep. So you will, if you do re-enlist for it, you're gonna be with pretty much brand new soldiers.
Was it E6 and below are in barracks, E7 and higher are in
That's a great one. Yeah, that's a great question, is who would stay in the barracks and who doesn't. So like you said, E6 and below in the barracks, E7 and up in the hotel. The hotel's like a 5-minute drive. For better or for worse, you get your own space, but when they get marched to the DFAC and everything's right there, you're like racing. You have enough time to go do stuff. What's another one? I don't know. Well, I'm not seeing any more questions.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything that would be really good.
I think we hit it all.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
So are you happy that you did it?
I am. What, 12 years?
Yep.
12 years for me?
14 for me. So it is possible.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, I mean, we won't waste anybody else's time. So as we always say, if you end up with a question, go ahead and shoot it in the comments and I will get you an answer as soon as possible. We'll field your questions. Never hesitate to reach out to the page and we'll get back to you. And if you are interested in Airborne, go have that conversation. Go get your physical started and then go have that conversation as soon as possible, because you're gonna feel, if you wait until 34, you're gonna feel it.
Ditto.
So I'm going to say thank you for being on the show again. Two-time repeat offender, and hopefully some more. Yep.
Yes.
Before we go, give me a very fast MRE review, 0 out of 10.
Oh man, I'm gonna say 8 out of 10. Could use more snacks for sure, but the main entree.
Okay.
Yes.
10 out of 10.
It had everything.
This is all I want in life. And the entree wasn't bad. It was like 90% cold because I messed that up, but it was actually good. It wasn't bad.
Nice.
All right. So with that, thank you so much for watching our MRE, My Retention Experience, on the Airborne Training Experience that myself and Sergeant Moise just had in June. We look forward to seeing you on our next show. And with that, I hope you have a great night and take care.
Have a good night, Nicole.
Bye.
All right, bye.